Hello again, everybody. Thanks for being here. My name's Lucas Livingston. I'm the executive director of Chicago Hyde Park Village. I'm very excited to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Catherine Mardikes, who is the vice president of the League of Women Voters of Chicago and the South Side Unit co-leader. Since 2017, Catherine has served as the acting president, executive vice president, and the co-leader of the South Side unit of the League of Women Voters in Chicago. She's especially active in voter services, where she's not only organized many voter registration drives, but also put together a number of candidate forums. And additionally, she is the senior humanities bibliographer at the University of Chicago Library, specializing in classics and the ancient Near East. So really excited to have you here again, Dr. Mardikes, Catherine, for your second time speaking to Chicago Hyde Park
Yes.
Village. And I will happily hand it on over to you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Um, it's uh, it's always fun. Um, I'm about to share my screen. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to probably today give you a lot of information that you already know, but I'm going to move through that quickly and concentrate on information that you probably may not know of or that you need to be thinking about. I hope that works for today. But it is going to be thorough nonetheless. I'm going to speed through because I know you're all registered. I know you all voted. But at the same time, I like to think of you as ambassadors out to the community to encourage others to do things, to register to vote and whatnot. So having just a little refresher on what needs to be done, I thought might be useful. Sound like a good plan? Excellent. Okay. So first, let me tell you who the organization, League of Women Voters, we're 100 years old. We are a nonpartisan organization, grassroots, and we have been since we were formed right when women got the right to vote. So we're talking 1920, and we have been trying to get women registered and educated, and then of course we expanded. Men have been members since the 70s, but it's sad to say we're still trying to do all the same things. We're still trying to protect the right to vote, which is under attack today as much as it was practically during Jim Crow. We are still trying to educate voters. So we feel that our mission is still strong. Now, I want to take a moment because you're all Hyde Parkers or Hyde Park Kenwood. We do have, we call them units. It's like a chapter. The league is set up in such a way that at the top is League of Women Voters of US. And they do a lot. They're the ones who argue cases before the Supreme Court and kind of organize us all. And then there's a state league underneath it. So we're all members of the League of Women Voters of Illinois. And then there's a local league, Chicago, which I'm the vice president of. That's what Lucas was referring to. And we concentrate on things locally and collaborate with state and sometimes US. But because we're so big in Chicago, we have what are called units, groups that get together mostly by geography. So we started one at the university. We started one on the South Side. It's called the South Side Unit. And we concentrate on doing things for the South Side. So our candidate forums are the aldermanic races across the South Side. Our voter registrations, we do all the South Side city colleges. We do South Side high schools and things like that. And we organize different kinds of things. So if anyone's interested, come find us and we'd love to have you help. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to be referring throughout to a whole lot of web links. I just put all the links into chat, okay? So that you can copy them from there if you need them. All right. Lucas, know that if anyone has any questions, you're going to have to let me know because this this is just taking up my entire screen, so I can't see
Sure.
anything else. So
Absolutely.
interrupt me with questions. If y'all raise your hands, I can hear you. If you want to put in the chat, Lucas will get the question to me. Okay. So I'm starting with reasons to vote. I'm going over this because, like I said, I'd like for you all to be advocates out there pushing all these young people and others you know to vote. And obviously, number one reason, election have consequences. It's true. I don't think right now I need to say anything more than that. We are a nonpartisan organization, so I don't want to get into a lot of detail, but things that you care about, maybe SNAP benefits, affordability, feeding, food security, uh, LGBTQ rights, um, uh, all kinds, anything like that. Voting is how you push that forward in the direction you want it to go. And every vote does matter. It's shocking how often an election will be determined. Well, I've seen them by one vote, but certainly 30 and it's amazing. And it's amazing how few people vote in midterms or in certain local elections. So it's shocking how much your vote will count in those elections where only 15 or 20% of those eligible to vote show up. It's another way to, it's definitely a way to hold our leaders accountable. It's your right. We've worked hard for this. I mentioned the voting I mentioned women getting the right to vote, the 19th Amendment, 15th Amendment, Black men got the right to vote. The Civil Rights Act, 1965, increased the right to vote, getting rid of many of the Jim Crow crazy things like poll taxes and other things, but we still have to vote. It's almost a form of activism in these days when so many things are moving us against voting. Also, it's your money. Even if you get an income tax return, you are paying taxes and you're paying sales taxes, you're paying tax on your gas, you're paying all kinds of taxes. It's your money. Your vote says how you want it used. Um, and it's obviously an opportunity for change. And finally, this has become more important than ever. Um, your community depends on you. Not everyone gets to right to vote. Anyone under, 17 does not get to vote. Non-citizens in particular do not get to vote, and we have to vote for them. Uh, so to vote in Illinois, I think this is all pretty clear. There are a couple of things that I want to punch here. One is anyone who is 17 before March 17th, the primary, and will be 18 by November 3rd, the general election, will be able to register to vote. And they will be able to vote as a 17-year-old in the primary. And obviously then in the general. So encourage anyone who's 17, if someone says they're 17 and I'm so sad I can't vote, say, well, when do you turn 18? And they may just be able to vote. The other thing that I wanted to point out here is that this is a new law. 16-year-olds can pre-register. Now they can only do that online, and to do that online, you need an Illinois voter ID or Illinois driver's license and the last four digits of your social security. I'll tell you why this came into effect, and it'll make perfectly good sense to you. We have automatic voter registration now for anyone who goes to the DMV to get a driver's license or state ID. And a lot of 16-year-olds were going and getting their driver's license or state ID, and then they missed the opportunity to be registered to vote. And so this law is saying anyone who gets one of those, the Illinois Board of Elections will hold that and will activate their voter registration when they become eligible. So this is a great thing for that. Unfortunately, the fact that they need that ID, we still have a lot of people, especially urban youth, who do not get a state ID or a driver's license, and that's a problem. That's a problem we've been working on. We try and go places where people are likely not to have ID to get them voted, get them registered to vote. Um, and this has been true. You must not be serving. Okay, you must not be serving a sentence of confinement in any penal institution as a result of the conviction. Okay, that's someone who cannot vote. Uh, Anyone in prison serving for a felony conviction. But the day you get out, you can register to vote in the state of Illinois. And it's an urban myth. No matter how hard I've tried, I cannot convince people that they do have this right to vote. I mean, the problem is our neighbors, Iowa, all of them have stricter laws, but they don't, even in Illinois, you can even still be on parole or probation, and you have the right to vote. In fact, we got a law changed to make sure that everyone leaving a prison in the state of Illinois will get the Know Your Rights telling them that, and a voter registration, mail-in voter registration form. But that's a crazy time, and people don't necessarily uh, no, aren't necessarily thinking about registering to vote. But it's an important thing. And here's another thing I want to mention that you may or may not know. I know you've all seen that little Illinois voter ID card that comes from the Board of Elections. And it looks like it's not much of anything. I mean, I think you still even have to cut it out yourself. That is a valid US ID. You can use that to go get a real driver's license. You can use that to go and get a package at the post office. It's especially important for people who are having trouble getting IDs. And this is really great for young people. I know my son certainly didn't go to the DMV every time he changed apartments. It wasn't until he was feeling rather stable that he changed his driver's license to where he was living currently. And so, but he always voted. And so he was able to use his Illinois voter ID card to get a package, even though his driver's license. So I know it's, maybe it's not the perfect thing, but we know that's what young people are going to do. So we encourage them. If you're trying to get someone to vote, and they tell them about the little Illinois voter ID card. It sometimes helps. And certainly for returning citizens, it's better to use that as a form of address than your IDOC card. And these are the ways of registering to vote. I'm going to skip on that. I just want to point out that this Tuesday, February 17th, is the last day that you can register on paper. So you're going to have to go to the online voter registration form. And to work there, you need an Illinois state ID or driver's license and the last 4 digits of your social. Otherwise, people can go and vote at early voting sites and on election day at early voting sites, which turn into what are called voting centers. And you need 2 forms of ID, and one of those is you need to have your address. You don't have an ID with an address, you can take a bill, a recent bill that has your address on it, a bank account envelope that has your address on it. All need to be fairly recent, however. So I'm just going to talk about voting. I know you guys all know how to vote. You've done it. You are good voters. But a couple things to think about. Voting by mail. I don't know if you know or not, but you can you could go on permanent mail voter, the permanent mail vote, the mail permanent roster. And there's a link on this page and in the chat. It's useful because if you just know you're always going to be voting by mail, you might as well just do it once and have them send it to you every time. And of course, in Illinois, there's you don't need an excuse for voting by mail. That's long gone. Um, so voting by mail, I don't know. I don't do it. I vote early. I don't know what. I just kind of like going in and doing it. But it's such a smart way to vote because as you research the candidates, you can just mark it as you go. So it's kind of nice that way. Um, and one more thing I really want to stress, uh, it might be if you are voting by mail, I suggest that you get your ballot into the mail by March 10th. It's true that as long as it's postmarked by Election Day, March 17th, that they will count it. But there's a new federal law that has gone into effect that is at the post offices, and they no longer automatically uh, postmark mail. And it isn't until it goes into the sorting area that it's postmarked. So you're going to lose a few days there. And it's important to know that. You lose those days, um, but you can go into a post office and ask them to postmark it for you. So if you want to go to the postmaster, stand in line, not put it in the slot, but stand in line at and get to a teller, then they can postmark it for you. If you get that close, though, it might be smarter if you can to get it to a drop box. And you may want to use a drop box anyway because they're so secure. They definitely make their way. Your ballot will definitely make its way to the to the Board of Elections. There are drop boxes in every early voting site in every ward, and I'll show you those when we get to the early voting slide. And those are available, all of those early voting sites are available with a drop box on election day, or you can take it down to the Board of Elections. What you cannot do is take it to your polling site where you vote by your precinct. So you can't take it to your precinct polling site and give it to them. What you can do if you get to that point and you can only get to your precinct polling site, what you do is you take it to them, you take it with you, ask them to spoil it for you so that you can vote in the election on the machines or with a paper ballot. So those are some of the options. I know it only gets complicated when it gets complicated, but that's where we are right now. And then early voting, they there are they the early voting starts at the super site and at the Board of Elections tomorrow. The super site has changed. It's not on Clark Street, it's on State Street. So if you think you're going to go someplace you've been before, uh, don't check this out. It's 137 South State Street. And it's starting on March 2nd, all of them will be opening up in the 50 wards. And the ones closest to us are those in the fourth ward or Kenwood can go up to the Martin Luther King Center. And those in the fifth are over at Jackson Park, the Stony Island Center. And those that are a little bit further west can go to the Bessie Coleman Library. This is handy. Early voting is available on the University of Chicago campus for just these days, March 11th through 13th, and the time is 10 to 5. You can go there and you can vote. You cannot register to vote. You can't do a same day registration there, but you can vote there. You also, they don't, at least in the past, they did not have a drop box. So go there just to vote. It's open to everybody right on campus. And I gave you a link to this early voting flyer. I like it. I love all the languages, and they squeezed it all in there. So if you want a copy of it, you can get it from one of the links in the chat that I gave you. Okay, anything new here? I tell you what is kind of new is the voting centers. You all know that this was all set up during COVID, that you could vote on election day during COVID, during vote at early voting sites, which become voting centers. This went into law, and it is going to be this way every election in Chicago. And it really does increase the way you can vote. What's wonderful about the voting centers, I was doing some work down in the 10th ward, uh, and there was a mailman that came in and dropped mail off, and I just started chatting with him, and I said, "Did you vote early this morning?" And he said, "No, I'm not going to be able to vote." And it was really kind of because I won't be able to get back, and it was really fun because 2 blocks from where we were was an early voting site. And I go, "Oh, you don't have to go home, just around the corner, just go." I gave him where it was, and you can just go vote there right now because you can vote in any early voting site across the city. So people who are downtown, they don't have to come home to their precinct voting site. They can vote anywhere. So it's really a really, really handy thing. And know that they all have that drop box for those that are voting by mail. Um, I think you all know this, but if you are in line by 7, you are entitled to enter and vote, no matter how late it gets. You can take items in with you to help you in your voting. That would be, sample ballots and things like that. And in Chicago, you can take your phone in and use it to get notes off of it. What you cannot do is you cannot take a picture of your ballot. If you have to just use it and scroll through. And something I always did, you can take your young child. It's kind of cute because when my son Michael was young, he would always go in with me, and that was before they had the paper and the touch screen. It was where you had to push a stylus through each one. You remember the hanging chads, I suppose. We all remember that. And oh my gosh, he was like on my hip, and I'd point to, and he'd punch it. And it was really cute because, for the longest time, someone he was watching a Bears game, and somebody asked him, his uncle asked him who he was for, and he goes, "I'm voting for the Bears," which is really cute. He was voting before he was rooting. Anyway. So researching about this has changed from the last time I talked to you all. We have switched over, the League of Women Voters has switched over to the League of Women Voters Guide. And it is called Vote 411. And it's similar to the voter guide. If you ask me, it's a whole lot more work, but we're in with everyone, and a lot of people would go to that looking for the Illinois voter guide and not find it. So we decided it was important to go into the league system. And I'm not going to take you there and show you. I'm just going to describe, if that's okay. So you go to vote411.org. Again, it's in the list of URLs, links that I put in chat. And what you'll want to do is, what you'll be able to do is find out what's on your ballot, candidates, and any referenda. At a different, maybe you can register to vote. I don't suggest you do it this way. But you can also vote, check your voter registration is another way of doing it. It'll also show where you vote. So you can use your voter guide, Vote 411, to do some of the things that you might normally do at the Chicago Board of Elections website. So kind of one-stop shopping is one way. You put in your address, and it then pulls all this information up. Um, and I'm just going to give you a one page out of it. This one is for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District race. And what you can see that's important is when you can choose, you click on My Choice, and when you're done, you'll have a complete list of all of your choices that you can use as your notes. You can email it to yourself, or you can print it, take it with you. But I'm showing you this one because a lot of people don't even know what the Metropolitan Water Reclamation is, and it tells you what this person is in charge of, what the board member's in charge of. And you can read it right there about this race. So that is the voter guide. We do not have all of the materials on the judges in the voter guide. We link to these resources instead, and they're very similar. If you go to Injustice Watch, you put in your address, and it'll show you only the judges that are on your ballot. I love these. Same with Vote for Judges. I love these because they will show you how 13, 14 bar associations have ranked them, so that I go and I create my cheat sheet. I go and I find out which ones I'm going to say no, and that's what I take with me to the polls when I go. So, put in my nose and give the rest of them a yes. It's Judges are important. Young people are just shocked when they see that on their ballot. They have no idea what to do. Sadly, a lot of people just decide they're going to be nice and vote yes on all of them, which is a disaster because we do have some bad judges. And they're very hard to remove. But over the last few elections, we have removed some bad judges. And that's because of sites like Injustice Watch and Vote for Judges, where they'll actually show you and you can get the information. If you haven't had a chance to do that, please just don't vote, so that those who've done the research have a larger voice in that vote. And another way of getting to know are some of the candidate forums. These are some of the candidate forums that the League of Women Voters of Chicago has been involved in. Actually, I'm seeing now that we need another word on the top two. The one on the right are the Democratic candidates for Senate, and the one on the left coming up are tonight are the Republican. So as we get more, we will put them up here. We will put links to these and maybe others that we find that are useful in that voter guide, Vote 411. And here's just some key dates. I think I mentioned most of these as we were flying through, but I just wanted to put them. By the way, those of you who have signed up to get your vote, get your ballot by mail, especially those of you who are on the permanent roster, probably already got your ballot because they started mailing them on February 2nd. And I meant to delete that one. And that's the end. Excellent. Okay. So I went through some of that pretty quickly. Anyone have questions?
Paula, I see you've unmuted yourself. Go ahead.
I have not received my ballot No, I am on the permanent voting thing for getting a mailing and ballot. So it's still only the 11th. Should I be concerned or is
No,
there no? So,
no. I'll tell you, the Board of Elections is, they are, I love the Chicago Board of Elections. Let me just say, they work hard and they work smart. They really do. And when you signed up, Michelle, you put your email address. And what's good about that is they will email you when they've sent you your ballot. So if you haven't gotten that email, they haven't sent it yet.
okay.
I would worry if you get that email and then it's a big long while. Then I'd worry about, the post not going in the right direction. I mean, doing what it needs to do for you. But otherwise, no. And those of you who are not on the permanent, once you apply, you also will get an email saying, we received your application for vote by mail. And then again, they'll send, and it's nice because then when you do send it in, and do remember, you don't need to put a stamp on it. You do if you're registering to vote by mail, you got to put a stamp on it. But if you're voting by mail, that's covered. You just drop it in the mailbox. Uh, uh, but I lost my train of thought. What you're going to do is once they receive it, they'll send you also an email, which is really nice. Yeah, Susan?
I don't know if you mentioned this or not because I came signed on a little late. I'm sure, sorry.
Oh, uh-huh.
But we're all so paranoid now about voting, or many
Mm-hmm.
of us. Um, I personally don't want to risk sending a mail-in ballot by mail because it might not get there in time.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing is to drop the mail or the ballot in early registration in the drop box there.
Absolutely. That is your safest thing that you can do. And starting in was it is it oh my gosh, I need my own slide. I just lost it. Uh Very soon, all 50 wards will have an early voting site, so you shouldn't have to travel downtown to drop it into a mailing box. Just
So
go
they
to,
They
yeah.
really are safe because I've
Oh
heard
yeah. Oh yeah.
they may not be, but I trust ours more than I would trust some anyway. Um,
You should trust those more than you should trust the mail, to be honest with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
and we're not in Georgia or Arizona, where they've been doing some horrific things. But even the ones that people tried to blow up, they didn't get to the ballots. They're pretty strong, these boxes. They're tamper proof.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my daughter lives out of state, and so sends does a mail-in ballot, and she sends it to me, and then I drop it in the Dropbox.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't blame her. It's gotten crazy. I and we do what we can. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't bring it up, and maybe it was more of an oversight. Um, but the League of Women Voters of Chicago is part of the coalition with Common Cause Illinois and the Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights to cover election protection in Illinois. And most of you would know election protection capitalized by its number. It's 866 our vote. Have you seen that number around? Yeah, if you ever run into any, let me put that in the chat right now. 866 dash our vote. And that's good. Oops, it's not *66, it's 866. Um, and that is a number good in any state. Um, but by but it'll filter you too. So if you're having any kind of trouble, that's the number to call. A group of lawyers are there, and it, they have the ear of the Board of Elections. So it's better to call them because they have a direct a direct line, and everything can happen faster with the 866-hour vote. And then we take volunteers. Are any of you election judges? Because I know some people do it regularly.
I
You do
have been in the
sometimes?
past.
Yeah,
Yes, I don't do it anymore, but
yeah.
I did it for many, many years, and it's a great experience, really. It's a
It
long,
is
hard
a
day.
long, long
Yes,
day.
it is.
I know. It's interesting. Well, here's another exciting thing. Election day is a holiday now, and the kids get out of school. And so I was a judge, not a judge. I was doing election protection. I was a poll watcher, and I have to say, all these young people are election judges. They're doing beautiful. They're just wonderful. And where I was, oh my God, their energy and their enthusiasm, it was kind of like there was this older person that knew the ropes, and then they were like the ones running around doing everything. It was really adorable. I couldn't have been happier. So for election protection, we do the something similar to being a judge. It's nonpartisan. You know that there are poll watchers for the various parties that go in and can sit there and out of the way and told not to meddle or anything. But there's also nonpartisan watchers. League of Women Voters has been a nonpartisan poll watcher for years and years. But what we're trying to do now is to have our nonpartisan poll watchers do it under the election protection banner. So that and there's two things: you can be a poll watcher or you can be a poll monitor. The poll watcher goes inside and spends quite a bit more time. Not the full, not the full like 6 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night that you were going through, Susan. But it is a 5 hour shift. Uh, the poll watcher, the poll monitor is on the outside, and it's a 3 hour shift. And the person on the outside just makes sure that everything, like there isn't an excessive police presence at the poll, that that the cones are up, that the electioneering is being, all of those kinds of things. There's a checklist, and they report all of that. But one time I was over in Inglewood as an election protection, watching. It was at the Inglewood High School, the charter school there, and it was really bad news. I mean, this judge, I won't even say which party. This judge was just so horrible. This woman who went to vote messed up her ballot. She just messed it up, like anyone can, right? And she took it over to him, and he just started calling her an idiot. He says, "I'm not even sure you can read." I'm telling you, uh, my mouth. And then on top of all of that, he took it and he wadded it up and threw it in the trash. Okay. So this woman, so I kind of put my arm around her basically and said, come, this needs to be reported, and we'll get you, if you've got the time, let's report this, because she was mad. She had the time because she was so mad. Um, and I called and I reported this. It's illegal to put that in the trash. You know that. Maybe the rest of you don't. Any ballot has to be signed by all the judges and secured, right? And so I have to tell you, it was less than 20 minutes. And there were two guys there, white shirts and black pants, that came in, and she went over, she told her story, and he had in the meantime taken it out of the trash and tried to flatten it. And it was perfectly true that I mean, everyone could see it was wrinkled. Her story was completely valid, and she got to vote and everything, and that judge was reported. But that was one example. Usually nothing happens. Usually you just spend the day there. However, we have a new component of election protection, and I would love for you all to get the word out for us on this. We are awfully worried about this election. Lucas, do we have on the hour? Is that what we're doing, or am I?
Well, we certainly still have 10 minutes left, but
Okay,
if
that's what I
we're
want
not in
to
a
do now.
rush, or if you're not in a rush, we're not in a rush.
No,
So,
no, just want to make sure that
Mhm.
yeah, I forgot to ask what when we were closing it down. I just didn't want to keep going. Um, so I'll tell you about the peacekeeping. It's such a cool thing. So we were inundated with ICE and Border Patrol. You know, we all see the news. Um, and and then they left. I think they went to North Carolina, what I think is where they went from here. However, when they left, they said, we'll be back in March. Uh, and the minute I heard that, my I just sunk. And and there is also um all kinds of statements. Steve Bannon was saying, of course, we're going to have ICE at every poll. Okay, that's illegal, just out and out illegal. Um, and Agnes Gray and I, we, we're my election protection before was all for civic education and everything. I got high school students to do it. Ogden High School, all 70 of their civics class went, and it was great, and they all did it. And that's what we did, right? And I was excited to take that little pilot project and make it bigger. And I just went, I don't think so. Maybe we just need to wait and see, and maybe we do it again, and we try again with students in November. So what we're doing is we are enlisting what we're calling peacekeepers. These are faith-based individuals, faith-based organizations, counselors, people who know how to, one, their presence allows for they have a calming presence by just being there. Or two, they're trained in de-escalation. And because we basically tell election protection, don't get in the middle of anything, report, report, report. But we want a group that can actually be a little tiny bit more hands-on, approach someone and tell them the rights, pull them aside and call the numbers or whatever. And that's what we're doing this, and we've had a really superb response. Um, and you've seen how many people have, ministers and rabbis and whatnot have been going to Broadview and going and helping. It's been quite impressive. So we're hoping to tap into some of that. So that's what we're planning to do for the primary, that March that they're coming back, supposedly coming back. And if they don't come back, that's fine, just by being there. I mean, the idea that they might be there is going to drive so many voters away, and it just breaks my heart. And so for that reason, publicizing that we're doing this is really helpful, because what we want to do is get this out in as many circles so that the people who don't want to go, because it's such a stupid idea. Nobody who's not a citizen is going to risk going and voting. The return for that is just not very high. So it's a stupid idea anyway. And most people know that if a non-citizen voted, it's usually because of some stupid mistake that somebody made. But they're attacking citizens as well. And we're afraid that a lot of citizens will be afraid to show up at the polls. And so we want to get the word out that this is what's going on. There will be protection of some kind, at least, at polling sites. Is this a question?
Yes, it's a question. Uh, what I'd like the websites for judges, the qualifications of judges. Where do I get that information?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I posted.
Was that in the chat? Did you put that in
Yeah,
there?
but if you
Because
came late, you
yeah,
probably don't have it. So I'm going to repost it right
yeah, and I
now.
I put all
Okay.
of while we were talking, I put all of those links on the web page for this event. So I'll just simply put
Oh,
that link in the chat
did you
there.
want my slides as well? Or are you going to put the video up?
Yeah, we'll publish this video on our YouTube
Okay.
channel, and yeah,
Okay.
so, that'll be in our
Okay.
follow-up emails for Hyde Park
Mhm.
Village. But yeah, it's just the link you click. You just click the link I just put in the chat, and that'll take you to the event page, and you'll see
Oh, thank you,
all
Lucas.
the links that you provided are up
Now,
on.
those of you who have already got or are about to get your ballot, unfortunately, it does take the bar associations a little longer to get the recommendations out.
Yes,
And
it
vote
does.
for judges and Injustice Watch are only as good, they're on the same timeline, I guess. So, but they put up whatever they have when they get it. So it's a good place to go. Yeah, Susan? Oh, you're muted still.
Sorry, one more. Some organizations and wards organize people to help drive people to the polls, get them to the
Uh-huh.
polls if they want to go. Um, how much can you accompany a person if they want you actually to walk with them to the voting station? Is that allowed? Is that
Mhm.
okay?
It
Um,
is. Let me
I mean, I'm thinking in terms of protection for someone who's feeling afraid.
that's a really good idea. And you know what? I had it on a slide and I just kept going. But I did want to mention for those who need ADA compliant voting sites, the league does, I mean, the Board of Elections does what they can, but they it's very hard for them to get all of them. But every single early voting site is completely ADA compliant. So for vision, for hearing, for mobility. So right off, I want to say that, Susan, for anyone who's having problems. Now, every single voting site, uh, anyone can ask for help. They can designate someone that they want to help them, or they can ask one of the poll workers to help them. If you think you're going to want to have help, I say go to the early voting sites because they're the most experienced because they're there doing that for several weeks. So it's always smart if you're doing something like that. Same thing if for people who are registering to vote at the on election day or when they vote early. Voting early is a good way of doing that, but make sure you tell them that the minute if they register or if they register to vote the same day at an early voting site, they must immediately vote. They can't go out, research their ballot, and come back again. So make sure that they're ready to vote when they register to vote or change their address, whatever it is, change their name. It isn't just voter registration. It's change of address and change of name as well that can be done in all of those forms, online, by mail, and at voting sites. Yeah. So did that kind of answer your question? I mean, you can take them all the way in to where they sign their name for sure. There's no question about that. Um, but it's just strange. I different, I mean, there are a lot of different people and the rules kind of get squishy sometimes, but it should be that if that person then says, I want this person to help me vote, they should let that person be the designated helper. Uh, but I'm just saying, if for some reason they say no, that's not allowed, then they say, then I need you to find someone to help me, and one of the people there will help. So there is always help. Mhm. Well,
Well, wonderful. Thank you so very much, Catherine. Really
mhm.
fabulous information. It's always great having you here to
Yeah,
share with us.
great.
And hopefully we're leaving more empowered and
Yeah,
from this. So
yeah. For those of you who are interested in election protection, that first link I gave you is to the League of Women Voters of Chicago's website. you can join there too. But there is a press release. Just go down a bit and you'll see peacekeepers. Look for peacekeepers and you can see the press release. And honestly, if you can send it to your church or your synagogue, we're looking for volunteers. Definitely. All right. Well, thank you for inviting me.